conflicts. The class is a bit earlier today, and we will also we'll do this also in honor of preventing any further tragedy in the world. Last night in the Washington area, we had a terrible tragedy whereby 60 plus lives were lost in a plane travel collision, and also more hostages were released in Israel. And should we all know no more of such sorrows? And today, we're going to learn about one of the mitzvahs that ends most sorrows that occur in the world. We were going to explain the mitzvah of V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, that you shall love your friend as yourself. This pasuk is found in the book of Leviticus, Vayikra 19:18, and the mitzvah is going to be something that is going to make us feel how we should connect to others. So let us begin understanding the words of the Chafetz Chaim. When one sits to contemplate the truth, writes the Chafetz Chaim, one considers what I mentioned at the end of last week's chapter. When you look at fulfilling the mitzvah of Ladonas chaveroi l'chaf suchus, right? That you're going to be judging your friend favorably. You also are going to be guarding your tongue. They are all connected to this other larger general mitzvah of v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. Because if you truly love somebody else, for sure you're not going to say any bad things about them, and you will only find good things to say about them. Which would be in a case that if it were to happen to you that you did anything that was wrong, and other people were standing and saying something else about it, and you find whatever reason to be meritorious on their behalf, or if it was erroneous, or if it was some other issue, the person should be drawn to a feeling of looking towards merit in that person, in order that they should not be humiliated so much. And that's what one should do for their friend. And this mitzvah also applies when it comes to increasing love amongst friends, even before these type of events occur, in order that way that one friend should not come to humiliation. Which would be that if a person were to get their child married off, their son married off in another city, or if he's going to go live in another city, and they don't know him and how he lives and how he conducts himself. He's not familiar with that place either, and he's struggling along to figure out a place to find somebody who really truly loves him, and a sincerely loving person. I guess I'm assuming beyond the love he'd be getting from his own partner. That's my editorialization on that. And that would be able to help him through becoming accustomed to the customs of that place. And if they see that he's doing something that's out of their cultural norm, they'll say to him privately, hey, you should just be worried about this. And that way, that new person shouldn't feel at all out of place or in any way, any form of humiliation at all by other people. And this is how you should treat your friend. That if you see that he's stumbling with something, that he was struggling with something, and it's something that would be something that would not be in their best interest. It's somewhat dishonorable, would be a more correct translation. But something not in their best interest to be doing. Even if this isn't something that is strictly prohibited, you're nonetheless supposed to tell him about what he's doing so that he should not become humiliated through it. And you find something like this in Horios, Daf Yud Gimel. So page 13 in the Maseches Horios. Rabbi Yaakov ben Karshi was talking to Rabban Shimon Gamliel. And, he hasn't quoted anything else. All right, that's not helpful. And we find this also the Gemara in Sanhedrin, amongst many other Tanaim. They accepted certain types of humiliation upon themselves in order to distract the humiliation from somebody else. I'm not sure what cases they're talking about, but I'm assuming they're talking about the case of where Rebbe, I'm just editorializing on top of the statement over here. They're talking about the case of Rebbe Meir, where the husband said that he would not allow his wife back into his home unless she spat in the face of a great rabbi. And Rebbe Meir is like, bring it on. And they live happily ever after. At least that's what we have to assume, because it gives any follow-up afterwards. So how much the more so if one should be cognizant of themselves that they're doing something that isn't really the best choice when you look at things practically. Okay, so really they're doing something that, it's not a good judgment. So a good friend would say, hey, you should be doing this better. It's a form of reproof that one should use. And the main focus should be that a person should not fall into any type of evil situation, and he'll fulfill through this mitzvah that the mitzvah of Yahavta L'Reacha Kamocha. And we will also see that a person for themselves will also be they'll be afforded a lot of it's basically you'll be getting a lot of contentment from your own Creator, may His name be blessed, who has fixed His children to serve Him correctly. But if, God forbid, right, chas v'shalom, okay, he goes and does things and makes himself somewhat despicable before others, what's God supposed to do? So the idea is that, we have to help each other so that way things look good before Hashem. But if you're not going to do that, then you're making things reflect poorly on Hashem. So what does that get? So what is this comparable to? It's like someone who has a child, or like say their son, and they have an inappropriate behavior. And their friend comes and talks to the father and tells this and says something before many, many people. So when that happens, you have a huge complaint against that person, a legitimate complaint against them. And the complaint would be, you should have come and discussed this with me privately. And I would have taken it better. But to go ahead and to explicitly humiliate me and deride me in front of everyone, that's no good. And I'm going to think about this, that this wasn't really for you to do the right thing, because if that were the case, you should have gone ahead and talked to me about it privately and told me about it. But really, your job was to embarrass me, to hold me accountable, and to weaken me in the eyes of others, and to take pleasure in that. And that's only an evil heart. So too is the way in which we talk about the way that Hashem integrates with the children, with His children, with Klal Yisrael. Right? They're His holy people, because they are the most chosen of all the children. Right? Because we say that clearly. It's a pasuk, Devarim 14:1. Bani matem la Hashem Elokeichem. You are the children to Hashem, your God. And Hashem rejoices in the good things and is pained by the bad things and in the humiliating things. And this sentiment is echoed in a Gemara in Sanhedrin Daf Mem Vav, not quoted here. Page 46a. And the people, the Jewish people, conduct themselves before their Father, who fills the entire world with his glory. And what would be the point of having a father humiliating his son before other people's without any value to it? What kind of benefit does one get out of that? And a general rule is written actually by the Rambam in the work Hilchos Deos, in the laws of proper moral conduct. This is in chapter 6, number 3. And he also writes the same thing in the Sefer Mitzvos on V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, that this actually channels the money and the honor bestowed to one's friend. That just like you're worried about one's own, I'm worried about my own money and I'm worried about my own honor, that's something that should be of the same value to you when it comes to another person. And it will quote now the Midrash Tana Devei Eliyahu. This is in chapter 28. Thus said the Holy One, blessed be he, to his people Israel, my beloved children, I have not withheld anything from you, but I'm asking you one thing. And what am I asking from you to do? That you have to love each other, and you have to honor each other, and you should be in awe of each other. And I shouldn't find any type of sin or theft or any disgusting thing that would bring you to any type of disqualification ever. And therefore it says, quoted in the prophet Micha 6:8, tell a person what is good, and Hashem will look for that in them. That a person should only do what's just and what's loving kindness, and walk privately with Hashem. Hasna leches, right? That's the idea, is that one should walk in humbleness and privateness before Hashem. There was a question here. That's the end of chapter 5. I think I want to hold chapter 5 here, because chapter 5 is talking about V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, and nothing more improper than chastising someone for improper behavior while doing so with improper behavior. That's the truth. So why do you do that? And it goes to the root of Lashon Hara. And really, the truth is that in some ways the Chafetz Chaim is holding back over here about the mitzvah talking about, because in the next chapter, chapter 6, I'll hold this chapter for next time. He's talking about a separate mitzvah, which is about vengeance, and that goes to show you that it's the exact opposite of this mitzvah, and we really see that there's a completely different sentiment and a completely different feeling when someone is acting selfishly and out of their own self-interest. So when we talk about V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, it's connected to those same mitzvos of vengeance and bearing grudges. So, but I want to focus. It's in the same pasuk. Lo sikom v'lo sitor es b'nei amecha v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha ani Hashem. So they're connected to each other. I want to focus for a few more minutes today, and we'll get back to this next week. I want to focus on V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, just what it says in the halacha. It's extensive, and we talked about this a little bit in Ahavas Chesed in the introduction, that a person should know what exactly it means to do chesed. This is said in the introduction when we did Ahavas Chesed a few months ago. And I was leaning into the camera too much, sorry. We said this a lot by Ahavas Chesed, that a person should look to do kindness and good to other people, and it should be freely done. And that way, good things will be done to them, even with other people's own money, like lending them things, lending them money, all this type of things. This is all part of Gemilas Chesed, and this is all part of that mitzvah. and these are all, these are all part of that mitzvah. Are doing those type of things. So, in other ways, ahavta l'reacha kamocha is even an obligation for doctors to have to contribute to healing others. That's one obligation of it. Rendering assistance to others in any situation. So, for example, and this is really pertinent to today's issue, saving people from life-threatening situations is also part of ahavta l'reacha kamocha. And it's giving of yourself to manifest love and concern for another Jew. And it's not just to, it's also to help eliminate any posing of any threat, whether in this case, in Shmiras HaLashon of any type of verbal communication, a chance to humiliate somebody else. But it also talks about giving them attention for things that could affect their body as well. So that's one of the things is that keeping damaging things away from other people is part of this mitzvah. And it's really an important part of it. So let's look at the Rambam here for a second. So the Rambam says that one that the Chafetz Chaim was quoting. It says that the mitzvah, this is the Hilchos Deos HaKorot here, 6.3. The mitzvah is incumbent upon every Jew to love every single one of Israel with their body, right? So you have to physically do something, because that's what we're told. Therefore, you have to say good things about them and to be concerned about their money, just like one is concerned about their own money, and also to bring honor to themselves. And someone who looks to honor themselves by the downfall of their friend has no place in the world to come. Okay, and also included in the mitzvah right after that is ahavas hager, loving the stranger. Just like the Chafetz Chaim says, what other act of chesed is there than if a person goes to a new place, is unfamiliar? No greater act of chesed could be done than to teach them how to live amongst those people. So, what other greater act of chesed could there be than the person who loves the stranger who knows nothing else? And so, therefore, it falls under the same idea. So, although you get double mitzvah for the convert, okay, and it stands in stark contrast to what we'll learn about next time, which would be to exact vengeance upon others. I want to make one other important point about ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. And it's just the mitzvah itself, when we were able to do all types of wonderful things for others. So the one time it's actually mentioned a little bit in the strictest halachic sense, and not just in the metaphysical sense, is that when one comes to redeem captives, which I think is also pertinent to today's statement. So the Shulchan Aruch brings down, this is in Yeridea, it's in 252, chapter 252, and it's halacha 2. Okay, so it's talking about redeeming captives. And one of the most unfortunate things that you could do to people is to ignore their plight in captivity. That one should not harden their heart and shut their hand, okay? And we see a whole bunch of things, okay? And we see that all these things should be done. So many averos are done by not helping people out in distress. And this is one of the mitzvahs of ahavta l'reacha kamocha, is one of those ones listed in this halacha, of one that is nullified if one does not act to help those who are captive. So it's a very, very important mitzvah. It's pertinent to almost every time, every age, and in so many situations. And I will close with that thought, that the main point of the Chafetz Chaim today is to bring that thrust to all of us, that the damage that can be done through not loving one's friend, but to really achieve the opposite goal would be a tragedy. And so therefore we should only look to do the right thing, which is to look to benefit our people, our friends, our neighbors, and to bring them to good, and to bring them to success, and to bring them to a sense of closeness to their own people and to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Thank you for attending today's class. We'll pick up with the vengeance and the retribution and its prohibition next time. Oh, everyone loves vengeance and retribution, but I didn't want to mar the class on Haftarach Kamocha with that today. Thank you for joining.